Good morning, my name is Andrea Leon and I will be doing my presentation on too many brands. Too many firms discover that their portfolio contains too many brands, the consequences of which can range from inefficiency and confusion to paralysis in managing the portfolio. An overbranded portfolio can also result in debilitating confusion. Rather than clarity, there may be brands with complex branding structures that lack logic and consistency. Some brands may reflect product types and others price or value. The branded offerings may even overlap. The totality simply reflects a mess. Customers have a hard time understanding what is being offered and what to purchase. Even some employees may be confused. How can it happen? How does an organization become so undisciplined that brands proliferate? To provide a remedy, it is well worth looking at the causes. The prime culprit is usually the process. There should be discipline behind the branding process, including a group within the organization with authority to approve the introduction of new or acquired brands and sub-brands. In the strategic brand consolidation process, the goal is to create a comprehensive and objective process that will systematically review the strength and utility of the brands in the portfolio. Such a process is organized into 6 steps. The first step is to determine the relevant brand set to appraise. The second, developing assessment criteria, is followed by brand evaluation, identifying strategic status of each brand, creating a revised brand portfolio strategy, and finally, designing a migration strategy. In identifying the relevant brand set, the brand set will depend on the problem context. It can include all brands and sub-brands, of course, but often the focus will be on a subset or grouping of comparable brands. In brand assessment criteria, the process of making the process highly structured and quantified is to provide stimulation and guidance to the discussion and the decision process. In general, there are 4 criteria: brand equity, business strength, strategic fit, and branding options. In evaluating the brands need to be evaluated with respect to the 4 criteria, and each criterion score can play a role in evaluating a brand. The profile of a brand across a criteria provides more detailed diagnostics. It can happen that a brand will have a place in the portfolio only if it meets some minimal level on 1 or 2 key criteria, no matter how it does overall. In prioritizing brands, the brands that are to live, be supported, and be actively managed need to be prioritized or tiered in some way. The number of tier will depend on the context, but the logic is to categorize brands so that precious brand building budgets are allocated wisely. The top tier will include the strategic power brands, those with existing or potential equity that are supporting a significant business or have the potential to do so in the future. One type of second-tier brands would be those with a specialized role, such as the flanker or silver bullet. Nestlé has long had brand portfolio prioritization in place. 12 global brands are the Tier 1 brands on which they focus. Each of the global brands has a top executive that is designated as its brand champion. These executives make sure that all activities enhance the brand. They have final approval over any brand extensions and major brand building efforts. These brands as having top priority with the Nestlé, Nescafé for coffee, Nestea for tea, Buitoni for pasta and sauces, Purina for pet food, and Nestlé ice cream and candy. Nestlé has also identified 83 regional brands that receive management attention from the Swiss headquarters. In addition, there are hundreds of local brands which are either considered strategic or tactical. In developing the revised brand portfolio strategy, with brand priorities set, the brand portfolio strategy will need to be revised. Each of the major brand portfolio structure options, together with its sub-options, need to be evaluated with respect to whether it supports the business strategy going forward, provides suitable roles for the strong brands, leverages the strong brands, generates clarity both to customers and to the brand team. In implementing the strategy, the final step is to implement the portfolio strategy, which usually means a transition from the existing strategy to a target strategy. This transition can be made abruptly or gradually. In replacing sub-brands with descriptors, one fruitful opportunity to achieve focus and clarity is to convert sub-brands to descriptors. 3 conditions make this option attractive: when the sub-brands have little brand equity, when a descriptor that works can be found, and when the master brand can play the driver role in the resulting product brand. The descriptor is the ultimate in clarity and maximizes the leverage of the master brand. In limits to brand rationalization, to put the role of a master brand in perspective, there are some reasons why it can be damaging to stretch a brand over too many products. For perspective, some of the more prominent reasons include the following. A master brand might lack the credibility and authenticity needed. For example, Black & Decker does not have the credibility to make power tools for the professional carpenter. A new brand, DeWalt, was needed to break through. The value of creating a brand around a segment or application requires a separate brand. Thus, P&G brands such as Head & Shoulders and Pantene have developed images with no compromises because they are standalone brands. A master brand may have connotations that make it unacceptable. For example, the Clorox corporate brand could not be used on its food products like the Hidden Valley dressings. In conclusion, the fact is there are alternatives to using a master brand to drive the business across products and markets. The various brands have some space, but the master brand still acts as a visible umbrella over them. Having strong brands in the key markets that support the business strategy going forward, reinforced by effective, efficient brand building programs. The key is what the brand stands for in the customer's mind and how that can evolve or change to take on a larger task.